Going to get themselves into draft for game 2. TT, unexpected winners from game 1, both from names on the paper, both from the early game as well, but they managed to clutch it out. Baron steal, some miracle picks from Feather. I actually think that Feather should have got the MVP. It's Patreon, I walked away with it. Still, you got a Baron steals, you can't really argue against it. Now the question is, TT managed to pull off somewhat of a miracle comeback in game 1 in regards to, again, like the grandness of the scenario. Can they do it without the picks that they had in that first game? Because of course it's Fearless Draft.
The other side, though, as I was kind of mentioning while you were out of the room, look what JDG burned to get in that first round. The Carthus Corki, 2 S-tier picks.
The TF.
The TF is a really big one for Sheer. The Leona as well, just not available. It now has to be banned by JDG because they don't want to give that up.
Yeah, everything but the Zyra is S-tier. Now, you do have the Tristana available for your Gal. He's pretty happy at that one. I think you'll be fairly confident in that. Yukal can go towards Jace or Corki. Corki's tend to be better. Oh yeah, you can't go towards that one. So now in terms of AD mid laners, you have the Jace, which Yukal is very good at.
Oh yeah.
Not awesome into Tristana, but it does unlock again an AP jungler to diversify your damage. Yukal is one of the few Jace players remaining in mid lane in LPL. It's kind of him and Knight right now. Wouldn't surprise me if that's locked in.
And of course, they can still look at something like the Carthus here. They can leave that to round 2 still, of course, because it can't be picked by Kanavi. But we'll see whether that's locked in here. Generally speaking, we're probably expecting that AP monster for base 1, especially after an MVP performance on the brand, even if it didn't quite work out. He's also a big Lilia player, in fairness. So
well, you're looking for an AP jungler, so yeah. I mean, it was going to be an AP jungler. It's going to be the Lilia, kind of below the S-tier pick from most of LPL.
I will say, though, because Kanavi can't pick the Carthus, and Kanavi is historically a big Lilia player, back when she first came out, he was spamming that champion. It's something of a takeaway, too. They decide to go towards the brand regardless, so it's still a great option.
Yes and no. There are enough AP junglers because the Zyra is also available. It's just like, pick your poison on the AP junglers. So one of them was going to get through. Shear's going to go away from the top lane dominance now. Says, all right, I'm picking the Skada. You got that one for game 1. Now Hoya gets to choose his own lane matchup to that. Can go towards something like the Cassante if you want to just be frontline. You won't have that from the jungle. You're potentially looking in something from for Feather on that one too. But the Cassante would allow him to be a bit more tanky. He is a bit of an excellent player though, so maybe just saying, all right, go towards comfort and still a little bit of tankiness.
And you've now got that AD option to lock down people and be a bit of a lane pressure option for the Lilia, who does like, much like a lot of those farming junglers, that ability to have priority lanes to go in and look for enemy camps.
So, second round, bot lane has once again fallen through to the last round. God, thinking of how the difference has come through from Spring, where it feels like your first pick and then your 2-3 as well, 1-2 on red side as well, were all about bot lane, about the Varus, the Ashe, the Kalista, the Lucian Namis, so many different picks coming through from bot lane. Bot lane falling through to the second round of bans really opens up some different versatility around there, with a lot of the power picks actually being on the top side, and particularly the AD mid laners and the AP junglers being first on the table.
Yeah, Skarner did get locked in, as you kind of noted, and now we're into this second phase where JDG are interestingly banning away the Ezreal, which is...
Sorry, it's funny, but it's like, you kind of noted the Skarner being locked in. Yes, I did note that it was locked in. It's like, we're in this quantum entanglement state where it's like, has it been noted? Has it not? Has the waveform collapsed yet?
What was it, like Schrodinger's Skarner?
Schrodinger's Skarner, wow.
That's a little bit scary at opening the box. Is the Skarner dead or alive? It's both until you open it. Go on, find out.
Yeah, then you...
Powers of observation change everything.
Now they do. 1xN, not going to be able to play the Kai'Sa, has 2 AD carries banned away from him in the second round. They banned away the Kai'Sa themselves, so Ruler can't pick that. Of course, doesn't affect 1xN, he couldn't pick that. Only lots of bot lane bans come through. Even something like the Corki has been played very occasionally towards bot lane too. Yeah, Varus is there. Aphelios for 1xN could also be for that too, but he is such a big Varus player. I think this will allow you to play double poke potentially.
Yeah.
Although that you kind of want the honor hit into the Skarner. You could still go for range advantage and double poke.
On the other side, JDG looking for potentially a bit more setup of their own. They've got a lot of DPS already with Kanavi and Sheer, so Ruler going towards a Jhin would add a little bit more utility and follow-up from a longer range.
Well, Missing's a huge rel player. Could also go towards Alistair or Rakan if you wanted to play towards, again, big engage stuff. I think the Rakan is super squishy. I think Alistair or Rel are really on the table for me now. I'm somewhat surprised they didn't go for a Senna. Somewhat surprised. I guess if you go for the Senna, you have 2 weak sides on the map, with the Skarner weak side doesn't want to have jungle attention, and then of course you'd have the Senna, which was kind of similar. So with the Jhin Rel, maybe you can play towards Kanavi pushing into your lane a little more.
Feather is flexing some very fun support options, but I'm expecting something a little bit more melee engage focused, so we'll wait and see what the choice is.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me just to see it going towards the Leona. You want big engage. Oh yeah, that would aim place, but that would surprise me then. So then, of course, it leaves up something like that, Alistair. You want something that what you want is you know, that tanky engage team fight option. The Alistair, the Renekton, and the Varus ultimate should be able to set up some point and click swirl seeds and ults for Beitran, and of course the shock blast for UCal. That's the name of their game. I do think that they have a good option for range advantage between the Lilia swirl seeds and then of course the double long range poke coming from TT. But JDG have themselves a pretty solid engage combo themselves with a good amount of mobility from Rel going in, the Jhin follow up, and the Tristana jumping forwards.
I think if TT also end up in a position where their front line isn't able to frontline, the pick from JDG in terms of the Jhin coming on down on top of the Rel and then Tristana and Brand unleashing could prove very difficult to manage. And on the other side, you're kind of wanting to sit and hit your abilities from a long, long way away and prevent JDG from doing the same.
So, TT, won game number 1. It was a bit of a upset, again, just with the names on paper. That was the first game that JDG had lost in the group stage as well. And then they took a big hit to Rulers. KDA was 28 before this series, dropping like a rock. Now, TT still need to double tap, though. The TT will have to double tap.
Zombieland got it right. They want to ensure this particular corpse stays down. Can Thunder Talk finish what they started? David strikes first against Goliath. The second step is always a little harder. Bloodied but not down, and I think they might just be a little angry. JDG, still the favourites, still looking to win this series.
Now going on to the Rift, and we'll hear what the crowd has to say about it.
Now Jayo's finally cease as the crowds, as ever, very vocal and willing to support their team. Just missing. That's rough.
Nah, it
doesn't take too much.
It means you can't look for anything level. That's what you say. Like, the Gyos finally cease. Gyos, they go like this. One team will cry out and they'll have 3 Gyos. And the other team responds with 3 Gyos of their own. And then if anyone's a troll, you'll have like 1 or 2 afterwards where they go like, oh, like LGD Gyo when they're not playing. Yeah. It's a really popular one. That is the pattern of the Gyos, folks. Just so everyone knows. Now you know when they are meant to finally cease. You should know that now. You've been given this wisdom, this information. What are you going to do with it?
I am going to travel to JDG's arena and do 5-4 chants in Gyos in order to ruin everything.
Turns out you're going to do JDG Gyo in the style of Take 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Gonna get Baker Street sacks over it.
Right, junglers starting on opposite sides of the map. We do have 2 AP farming junglers again. Does mean that early game tends to be quite slow when you don't have the Lee Sin or the Xin Sao or something like that. JDG, we did think that they were going to be playing towards strong side, bot side with that Ruler Jhin. But Feather goes in, takes an okay trade.
Gets the headbutt, of course. Alistair, notoriously a bit of an awkward champion at level 1 unless you're willing to burn the flash. Ruler gets the 4th shot, and that chunks 1xN a little low.
Yeah, Ruler's Jhin. It's not the hyper carry in the way that we've known Ruler for mainly in the LPL, but reminder, this guy was all around and kicking butt, even in the first of Jhin metas way back in Season 6 and that kind of era.
Touch.
Yeah, the Deathfire Touch, wow. That was a thing of all time. That was when you went for full lethality and you could one-shot people for full HP of the ultimate. It was very silly. And he's done a great job on that Jhin in this summer as well. Done a good job of getting himself, again, those really big KDA numbers before this. If you want to play towards Ruler Jhin strong side, it's one of those champions and one of those players of that champion, which I would very much agree with that.
So, the early shove comes on through for JDG, especially compared to last game where it felt like actually 1xN and Feather had a pretty okay time of it in lane. Feather in particular forcing a lot of early summoners from Ruler meant they weren't able to get any lane priority at all. This time around it is 1xN and Feather that are going to be left a little on the weak side, but with Beitran in particular pathing away from them, I can understand why 1xN and Feather are saying, yeah, well, maybe we don't shove too aggressively here. Kanavi is around bot lane. Don't know if they're willing to dive here, though.
Oh, we did say they had that. They've locked in that Jhin instead of something like a Senna. They wanted to play towards pushing aggressive bot side. Kanavi not going to be able to take anything from the bot side jungle because it's where Beige One started. We'll be able to take the bot scuttle, but that'll be traded all in all. So AP junglers very much on the same kind of pace. Beige One will be able to recall, get himself that first recall of the game. And now with 1xN and Feather pushing up, they might get caught
walked into it. They were looking to get a ward down. Feather will body block on the other side, but that's a cleanse dead, at least from 1xN.
And now TT, they had their wave in a really awkward spot because it's bouncing back away from them. They need to make sure that this this freeze is not going to be materialized, and they're in danger now.
Oh, great headbutt again from Feather. That's fantastic body blocking. We'll take a chunk, but Kanavi continuing to try and force some difficult scenarios.
The problem is still here. This wave is in a crap spot for Thunder to talk, but Beige One is now here.
And that's a Dark Harvest stack, actually, as a result of the Swirl Seed. Deadly Flourish goes wide. 1xN with the better HP bar versus Ruler right now. And knowing that the Lilia is down towards the bottom half of the mat, I think JDG have to give up the full court press.
No, they do. So Kanavi stayed a long time towards this bot side, and with Beige One getting his first back of the game, and of course he had more combat stats before Kanavi went back just now. While all this happening, of course, Yugao and Yugao had some good trades back and forth. Yugao actually had a very good one on screen just before he went over to this, where Yugao kind of evens that one up himself. JDG, the early game plan, it's not necessarily gotten much out of it right now, but you can see the threat of having Ruler, Miss, and Kanavi all on the same page with really good follow-up between them all.
And it's been a pretty competitive laning phase both times around, actually, with the exception, of course, of top lane, where the Twisted Fate did Twisted Fate things, and Hoya went looking for the Skarner, won't find him, and there's some alcove gaming occurring right now. Is he going to come over the wall? Is he still there? No, he's gone back.
No, he had 0 mana, wanted to go for a free recall, and he managed to get it, and it's well played by him. So Hoya,
I should have checked the minimap. That would have been the sensible
Hoya,
thing to do.
Really comfortable on the Renekton, and I don't really think it's been that impactful even with the comfort, but it means maybe it's not as bad as it could be. Hoya last game on the Skarner did have some good pulls, but he wasn't really the story of that game. He would like top lane to not be the story of this game again. I think if Sheer has a good game on the Skarner, there are definitely some ways to out frontline TT, maybe get himself onto someone like that, Lilia and Jason, pull him out of position. Sheer on the other side of the coin, but now he might be in some trouble.
Oh, hits the Swirl Suit. That means there could be a Lilting Lullaby. Flash for the W means there's no shield available. Still going to try and get forward. Flash in front of that from Beige One. Means he gets impaled afterwards. Oh, no. It'll be a 1-for-1, but I don't know whether Hoya's going to have a way out here. Here come the rest of JDG. It goes wrong.
Kanavi getting a blast cone over the wall. Hoya, can he survive long enough for an execute? No, he will not. So Sheer, 2 kills in a 1v2.
I've got to see that again, because I'm assuming Beige One flashed for a Q and it just didn't go up because he was quick enough on the stun.
I think he flashed just to make sure that Sheer couldn't get out of range. That's why he was doing it, but he just didn't respect the damage. Sheer ults him under turret. That's going to leave, what should have been the strong side of the map from TT being a weak side. Another one. And it's going to be 3 grubs going after JDG. Beige One will get out onto the map and take Dragon, but that gold over to Sheer is exactly what they didn't want to happen.
Pretty disastrous, all things said and done. I wonder whether we'll see a replay. We will. Let's have a look at it.
So I don't think Sheer had himself the cooldown on his W just yet, or on whatever the edge of the Ixtal's impact is. Yeah, you can see basically Beige One going forwards to make sure that Sheer can't get out of range, because he would have been able to do so, but he doesn't realize the amount of damage he would be taking at that same time. Hoya dies, of course, to the execute afterwards as well. So basically, 2 kills in a 1v2.
I think it interrupted 2 Q casts from Lilia as well. She didn't get to press Q.
You actually can't cancel the Lilia Q. So once you press that button, it will go off even if you CC the champion. So it just ends up miscalculating.
Oh, there you go. Misread the animation a little bit, and perhaps as Hoya in a difficult position. Does have the R available, but I don't think it's worth popping. He's just going to burn down. Kanavi gets that one for free.
Top lane is starting to fall apart. Hoya versus Sheer, we were worried about that individual matchup, and it's not looking great for TT right now.
I think the problem was it wasn't an individual matchup. It was one gank going wrong in a 1v2, and then the 2v1 afterwards goes how it was supposed to go.
So normally, your jungler coming to top lane shouldn't add insult to injury. It has this time. Yugao holding Yukao to account as well. He's trying his best on the Jace to get himself good trace, but yeah, manages to get that Buster Shot before Yukao can get that Hammer Strike away.
Fair amount of damage down, and that will be an even enough trade bot lane. CC, but nothing else. Deadly Flourish lands, but again, it's just A little bit of annoyance rather than anything meaningful. Missing though, face checks.
That is so greedy. You know, everyone is there. Maybe, you know, the dragon's down. You know, everyone is still on the bot side of the map. That's greedy missing. I find it so funny that JDG played for pushing bot lane and for Kanavi to be around the lane. It should have been strong side bot lane. And suddenly, actually, it's flipped around because sheer 1v2s and missing just dies for a random face check. We've switched where our attention is.
And now, of course, you're looking at 1xN who's already got himself a Dirk, gets to go back again, pick up a little bit more gold. He's actually going to pick up that tier and a Rectrix. He's doing very happily in this lane now.
So, JDG, weird old early game. Probably not exactly what they were planning for, but
No.
I'll take it all the same. I think this is going to be a very different game to what they expected. If Sheer is going to be really far ahead of Hoya, the Renekton is going to be very hard to play. I think it's really hard to get in range of the Tristana with the Buster Shot and Jhin following up or standing at long range. Kanavi burning you down.
Oh boy,
Kanavi, he should be fine.
Trouble.
No, he should be fine. Both of his lanes are pushed in. I think Beitron knows he can't respond. Sheer could respond, Yagao could respond, so Kanavi... Maybe he's weaker in the 1v1 right there, but his laners bail him out.
Sheer is here, has used the E, lands a Q, but Hoya, without a lot to his name, isn't really in a position to come and fight that, I don't think.
Not just now. He has his ult, so Sheer can do whatever the heck he wants, really. And Hoya, sadly for him, is down in CS, down in the kills, down in plates, and he has to have his jungler to help him stand under tower. This is really not what you wanted from Hoya's Renekton, but sadly, like I said, while it might be a common and comfortable pick for him, he's definitely had some poor games on the champion.
Yeah, this one's not looking particularly great. Again, I don't think this one has been entirely his fault, let's be fair, but it's still the end result of a pretty difficult scenario. And a lead that's building up towards Iskana, and when you're trying to build towards poke champions, it's going to be a lethality Varus as well. Having Iskana who, yes, builds a lot of HP rather than pure resists, still get tankier than you'd like, becomes a lot harder to get that poke onto meaningful people.
Yeah, and this is one of the issues we were saying about, you know, you can pick the double poke from the Jace and the Varus. Well, what happens to the front line after that point? Who's killing them? Maybe Beitron can, but it makes it so much harder when Sheer is so tanky. Your window of power for like 1-2 items on the lethality mid and AD carry is going to really start to fall off. So JDG, not unpleased with where the gold is right now.
Yeah, decent-ish leads in most of the lanes, with the exception of bot, where of course 1xN is feeling pretty happy, 500 gold ahead. The issue again will turn out to be more towards the top lane, where you've got a 1200 gold out there as bot lane replay, Ruler with the fancy feet dodges out the Chains of Corruption.
So he got slowed by the Hail of Arrows, but I think he had the move speed from Fleet Footwork to help him dodge that. Close run stuff. I appreciated that from 1xN. Very close to getting himself a big chunk there.
Yeah.
Feels right now that JDG still pretty happy with how Ruler has been playing on here too. He's been just farming up, yes, a little bit of gold down, but this Jhin is going to have a much easier time than the Varus, damaging the first target in the fight.
Oh yeah, not going towards anything tanky. He's gone towards Eclipse, which great in a 1v1 scenario and potentially trying to blow up some of the squishy members of JDG, but it does make him a lot easier to blow up in turn.
LPL has really liked using the Eclipse Renekton. It's just a much burstier version of the champion. Yeah, you're not going to survive as long in a fight, but Renekton doesn't survive long in a fight anyway right now, so it's like, well, the difference between dying in 4 seconds and dying in 6 or 7, it's not really that much at the same kind of time. So, Hoya, if you can get onto the right target, as you were saying, very, very bursty, needs to see how much value you can get out of that. Dragon spawning in just a few seconds, and we're pushing in mid lane to see if we can get ourselves priority onto the objective.
That's exactly it. Double range minion kill there with a shock blast. Always feels nice on Jace. And away we go towards the dragon. First dragon was picked up by TT, and it looks like we might actually be setting up for a little bit of a fight here. Everyone's around.
Dragon is up, missing, has flash, has ult. Can he find the engage? Is another ult misses from 1xN.
That was close, not quite. They're going to go forward anyway, onto missing. He takes a chunk. Still got ult as feather, has now had to pop it, but I don't know where the hell he thinks he's going. He's got a flash available, may need to pop it, doesn't. The piercing arrow though, chunks missing out on the other side, flash away from the pillar of flame. Doesn't actually keep feather from burning still.
It doesn't, sadly for him. He will be very low HP, and the engage doesn't really work out for TT. Some missed poke at the start of the fight. does kind of get turned around a little bit with the next arrow or two, but JDG walk away with an important dragon. Means that TT don't get to stand behind having 2 dragons to play out towards a soul win condition. JDG also have the 6 grubs, and they have the Skarner super far ahead, and they have a Tristana. So I think in terms of the objectives, JDG pretty happy right now.
Might be doable. Still, 2,000 gold, 1.5 towards JDG. Getting some more plates. They've gotten 6 grubs as well on a Tristana. Always feels excellent.
I just mentioned that too. Because, yeah, you're looking at the Skarner, look at the Tristana, it's like, oh, that's a lot of dead towers.
It is. Oh, it hopefully will be. That's the plan for JDG. But again, I will remind people that last game we saw fairly significant early lead that all got turned around in some of those team fights from TT.
And, well, I mean, that's exactly what we're to bring up now in terms of the TT turnaround. It feels like, you know, down a significant amount of gold, and the objectives we were just saying doesn't have to be in anything. If TT can find themselves, again, another miracle team fight, feels a lot harder when you don't have the Blitzcrank for the hook. Feels a lot harder when you don't have, you know, really immobile targets like, well, easier to kill immobile targets like the Karthus or something like that on the other side too. And also the terrain around something like this Herald is much easier to play around from blue side than it is on red side too. So Kanavi, as opposed to the Karthus, who died here multiple times in game 1, feels a lot safer actually in game 2.
Yugao on vision, but they knew it was there, so now the poke parts are there. Hoya actually in the backline gets a big chunk onto Yugao. There's the Eclipse, goes over towards Missing, who gets a Magnet Storm off, but the damage is pretty good. Hoya gets the ult off, but the Impale afterwards into the burn just means 2 dead. Beituan can't get a Lilting Lullaby onto only 1. It's only Kanavi he gets with it. That means it's just nothing in return.
Like how Missing gets away with that is beyond me. He gets absolutely wailed on, but the Rel just about tanky enough. TT are going to stop the Herald being taken at first, but I mean, Kanavi can go over and solo that all the same. TT, I think this is a really good example. Go back to game 1 and see how this Herald and the grub fights happened with the terrain, with JDG having their backs against the wall, as opposed to this one, but they can actually retreat much more effectively. I think geography might be JDG's favorite subject in this game.
Hoya is off vision, gets a chunk onto Yugao that just doesn't do all that much in the long run.
And yeah, I think a big part of this is the fact that, again, JDG can just retreat back into their own jungle. You can do that on this side of the map. So much easier to fight it on blue side than in game 1, it's red side for them. They got picked off by so much there, and it does mean that JDG win that first fight, if only barely, and they get away with the Herald on their second take.
Again, we see the Brand plus Skarner combo of everyone is held to burn down next to each other with all of those big circles overlapping. Can be pretty nasty. Missing, actually in a dangerous position here. Gets knocked down, and 1XM picks up the kill. No escape for Missing this time.
Yes, that will be that Rel Feld. Not as tanky as something like an Alistair. Not as tanky as something like the Leona. I feel like the Rel, great once you have that aggressive flash engage, but has been picked off so much in LPL Summer so far, particularly by stuff like the Varus. Varus is about to get his ult back up, so it's not like TT don't have playmaking tools. Good buffer.
Ooh, great buffer. The headbutt landed, but the Pulverize was excellently timed out by Yugao with that rocket jump. Could still be in danger here, though, because he's used it now. Buster shot away, has got a blast cone, and it just doesn't work.
Oh, man. I really enjoyed, by the way, the last game. You said, this ain't no mountainside. You can't climb to the top of the mountain, you goat. Yeah. This time, he does manage to scurry his way up that surface, even if it is you know, goats can climb at 89 degrees pretty much.
How
unless it's properly vertical, these guys can just keep climbing. And Yugao gets himself out of safety up that bit of terrain over the wall there. That's your fun fact for the day, by the way.
Thank you for that one.
Mountain goat, apparently mountain goats, I'm not even sure if they are goats. There's a weird thing about them. I feel like they're technically separate in a way.
They're
Aren't they closer
the
to
king in yellow?
Aren't they like, what the heck is the king in yellow?
One of the goat people from like the Bulu kind of thing. Bula, oh my days. We'll now open the curtains. Dodge misses 1, misses 2.
It's 3.
Well, the 4th does a lot of work at this point still.
He's down a flash, down and all the same. JDG will have to recall their AD carry, I think, just at this point to get himself up.
Too.
Now, the problem is, Ruler has no ult and no flash for the dragon coming up in 30 seconds. It's not bad, but Beituan also no health and no ult for the next fight too. So both teams with some big team fight ultimates taken away. Big thing in LPL is the fact that we do sometimes just fight to take away big tools from those team fights. Maybe with Hoya with flash, you can get onto the flashless Jhin in the next play.
Importantly as well, Hoya still has the TP, so if fight goes on, he could probably join while Sheer is currently stuck laning towards that top lane. And it looks like as a result, JDG are going, yeah, we're down too many tools. We can't do this very easily.
Dragon spawning now, and as you were saying, it feels like the contest gets a little bit different. Herald into mid lane changes things, because TT will have to wave clear this, and maybe that buys a bit of time for JDG to find a better setup for themselves. Sheer, out of vision, has flash, sweeping his way through here as well, so he knows there's no wards, and he's in a dangerous position.
Literally just said they weren't going to do it, and then he walks down anyway, so there we go. Sheer now on a solid angle. We'll get the mid lane turret, and JDG... Let me eat my words in very short order with that Herald and a roam down.
I think that changes a lot of things, right? The Herald gives them such a good entrance towards the bot side. Now they can play around again. Big Jhin Ws. There's still no Lilia ult for Beichuan, which is one of the big tools for TT to work around. And it looks like it's going to be a two-man dragon, while JDG hold the rest of the team in at bay in mid lane. We've got solo laners trading turrets. Hoya's going to take that top lane out, which will be some good gold for him. He's 2,000 gold behind. He needs that gold, whereas Yagao going to increase his own lead by continuing to push in their bot side.
Well, the gold lead's not that different in mid in terms of CS, but there's still 1,400 gold because of a kill, because of plates, because of turrets going down. Tristana gold value always going to be scary when she gets to be a demolitionist with grubs to her name. A little bit better tools than you might have otherwise.
I'm going to go back towards the second item very soon as well. JDG walk away. Two dragons, reminder, they do have all the grubs. They use that Herald. They've got themselves a dragon advantage. Objectives very much in favor of JDG so far. In a minute, we're going to have Baron. That'll be the next one up on the table. So TT will... Oh, flashing forwards.
That's pretty scary. Kanavi in danger, but the turnaround's still pretty big as he gets the Pyroclasm rolling and Beichuan in danger. W's back forwards and the curtains are being called. That's going to put TT in a very difficult position. 1xM flashing away from the Magnus Storm. Feather cannot get out of range, and 1xM caught by the very edge of that last shot. Gets over the wall with a buster shot. And Yagao gets a reset as a result. Yagao can keep on hopping forwards. It turns out he might be more like a bunny rabbit.
And he's very happy with the timing of his jumps. I loved how he got that jump midway through the air. He gets the reset because the kill comes down from Ruler's ult onto that first target, and he just keeps going forwards. TT, they needed a big fight at some point. They've been losing in the objectives. They've been trying to play now around the side lanes, and Feather just goes way too far. Yeah, you get the Lilia ult forwards, but Feather, who had a fantastic game on the Blitzcrank in game one, really struggling to have that same kind of killer instinct in this second one. TT overextend for that first play. They die. Yagao gets a reset mid-flight, gets himself another bomb on target, gets himself another jump after this point too to keep chasing. JDG running away on the bot side.
And 1xN was, I think, 2 HP off killing Kanavi at the back end of that fight. The piercing arrow did so much work, it just wasn't quite there, and the fact that he managed to get the Pyroclasm off before the Lilting Lullaby proc just got so much value on the pick going wrong, and suddenly the gold lead explodes even further. It's now more like 6,000 gold. The Dragons are still stacking. Baron's now a possibility too, and I feel like TT are going to need a really, really big engage or it's all over.
They just tried to do a really big engage, and it didn't work very well. Now, they have no flash on Feather. His ult's coming back up, but again, every time you fail a play from behind, you lose more gold, you lose more of your summoners and stuff like that too, and it just feels really crap trying to play your way back into a game like this. Last game they could, because you could play on your basic cooldowns of stuff like the Blitzcrank. They managed to play really well around flanks. Feels like TT, they just don't have the same kind of tools as they did in that first composition.
They're still waiting on transformations on those Muramanas as well, so even they're in still a bit of a trough damage-wise as well. Neither the Jace or the Varus have got that through. Varus, notoriously not the fastest tier stacker. There is a teleport, you're right, and this could be the moment. Last game, it proved catastrophic. They're going to try and get onto at least missing, who will likely die. Feather eats a huge chunk from Yagao, but they will get nothing but one dead. Kanavi hit with a shock blast. Do TT think they can get more? Because all the while, JDG go through mid.
Folks, they've got 6 grubs, and they didn't blow any flashes for this. TT used a teleport, they used a couple of ults. So even though they get the 1 kill, I don't even think they can force this that hard.
They've got to wait. That's an inhibitor gone. At least TT feel this is the moment. They're going to try.
Okay, so Kanavi, watch out for him. Hoya has flash. Might be able to get on top of him. Baron is slowly being burned.
I'm going to try and play this. This has got to be their big moment. Ruler, cleanse, goes down. That's a big kill. Sheer, still desperately tanky, though. And all the while, Yagao has yet to come on over. Baron's still going down, but the HP bars are so low.
Feather manages to get behind Ruler. He manages to get another combo. He's going to die for this. But can they get the Baron while it's happening?
They're going to try and keep buying some time. They're going to go over on Kanavi, who needs to get away. Gets a kill. And Kanavi just burns him alive. He's still going?
And while it's happening, Yagao is killing the base in 2 days. We have 2 games with our backdoor shenanigans. TT fail around the Baron, and they'll lose their Nexus to bring it to game 3.
It was a risky call, but I know it looks silly. I understand why you're losing the game slowly. This was maybe your opportunity to win. It doesn't matter. Yagao shoves through mid, the Baron play fails, and Thundertalk collapse under the weight of their very risky plan.
Oh man, TT, they had themselves a heroic comeback in game 1 around the Baron. Not to be the same in game 2. They fell too far behind, and despite a really good pick onto Ruler at the second part of that Baron 2, Feather managed to get himself a headbutt from out of vision. It's just not enough. And JDG, they were definitely slapped in game 1, woken up a little bit in game 2.
That was a lot more like what I'd come to expect from them, I think it's fair to say. Still, we are now in a position where we still have to go to a game 3, which will be interesting to